Hi guys, welcome back to Yoga for Normal People. It has been a little bit and I'm really glad to see you guys back on the mat. I'm really glad to be back on the mat. It's been a couple weeks for myself and I today am gonna do a little bit of like low back, shoulder stuff and give you some tools to work with over the holiday season or really whenever you're feeling a little bit stressed out to just kind of deal with anything that comes up while we take a little break. So for today's practice, all you're gonna need is a strap and a blanket. And we're gonna come down onto the floor just to sit to start. And we're just gonna do a little check-in. So I'm gonna go ahead and sit on my blanket. You guys know that I like to keep my pelvis up off the floor. It just helps kind of drop my knees down below my hips. And here I'm just have my right shin crossed in front. And what I'd like you to do is just lean forward and tug the flesh out from underneath so that you actually have a nice kind of solid connection to the floor. And then from here, go ahead and just gently close your eyes. Soften your gaze or gaze at the floor. And you can just let your hands rest on your thighs. And here, just start to notice, starting with where your legs connect to the floor. Start to notice what that connection feels like. You know, I always joke that yoga teachers are rather selfish and that we teach a lot of the stuff that we need at any one time. And truthfully, because I have been working a ton and because I have been sitting a bunch, my low back and my shoulders are definitely feeling the stress. It's the end of the year. We're all kind of under the gun trying to get stuff done before the holidays. Maybe you're trying to prep for a family that's coming into town. Maybe you're trying to just wrap things up for the year. But wherever you are, just start to slowly connect to your body, starting with that connection between your legs and the floor. And as you notice that connection between your legs and the floor, slowly draw your attention up towards your pelvis, towards your hips. Feel the weight of your pelvis settling down onto the blanket. And see if with every breath, you can soften that space right between your hip bones, the front of your belly, maybe even the low back. See if you can allow some of your physical weight to settle down into that pelvic bowl. Down into the connection of your legs, down into the connection of your pelvis. And then slowly draw your awareness up to your belly and your rib cage. And notice there as you breathe in and breathe out, the way that space expands and contracts rhythmically. And maybe with every exhale, just imagine getting a little bit heavier down into your sit bones, down into the mat. Just really grounding and connecting. And as you continue to breathe, start to draw your awareness up into your chest, your upper rib cage. And here, maybe if you notice that you're slightly rolled forward, maybe lift your heart just a little bit. Notice the shift that happens in your belly and your low rib cage. Notice the way that your body weight shifts in that pelvic bowl. And then slowly draw your awareness up towards your shoulders. And see if you can imagine extending the space between the base of your earlobes and the tops of your shoulders. So almost like you're reaching up from the back of your soft palate in your mouth, that place that you can't quite touch with your tongue. Take a couple of breaths here. And then draw your awareness up towards the crown of your head. Maybe notice any sensations, any thinking that's going on. Just notice how your head feels as it's stacked over your heart and as your heart is stacked over your hips. Take a couple more deep breaths here, just settling into your space and welcoming this time that we have right before the holidays, welcoming this moment of quiet, this moment of connection. And then when you're ready, just slowly start to open your eyes. Maybe keep your gaze lowered. Take a deep breath in. And on your exhale, just purse your lips like you're exhaling through a straw, like you're blowing out a candle. Inhale again. Exhale through pursed lips. Inhale one more time. And exhale through pursed lips. And then just allow your breath to return back to its normal cadence. And from here, just go ahead and take your hands back behind your hips, and we're going to bend our left knee, plant the left foot on the mat, the knee pointed towards the sky, and just take that right shin towards parallel with the side of your mat or the front of your mat, depending upon how you're seated. And here you can take your hands to your knees, and we're just going to do a couple of half moon rocks here, and they may be a little restricted with that left knee pointed towards the sky, but just start to draw sort of a half moon circle with your chest. You'll notice, at least for me, I've got a little bit of like tension in my hips, in my deep hip sockets. So I'm just kind of gonna move through this and give a little massage. And if you like, you can flex and extend your spine so you can round as you go back or lift your heart as you go forward, or you can stay static and just keep the natural curve of your spine, just depending upon how you're feeling. And then from here, once you've taken a few of these, you're going to go ahead and extend that left leg out long and start to open up that same half moon rock. And let your eyes track around the room. You know, gaze around your room, use your peripheral vision, maybe open your eyes nice and wide. I've been working through a online class with one of my favorite teachers, and it's been dealing with a lot of like stress and trauma. And one of the techniques that she uses when she's working with people that are, you know, dealing with big stress or trauma is teaching them to open their eyes and gaze around the room. Your visual field is a major source of input for your nervous system, and using your eyes to kind of sweep the room allows you to register the fact that you're safe. Allows your nervous system to kind of settle. And you'll notice maybe that as you do this, whether you're moving slowly or quickly, that maybe you start to take a deeper breath. Maybe you start to sigh a little bit deeper. And then once you have done those sweeps, what I'd like you to do is reach over, take your strap, and you're just going to loop it around the ball of your left foot. And then take those two ends into your hands. Now, if your blanket that you're sitting on is starting to slide out from under you, you can adjust, or you can slide it out from under you, however you'd like. But I'm staying kind of propped up on that blanket just for a moment, so make whatever adjustments you need. And from here, just take both those straps in each hand, and you're going to just rotate your shoulders more towards the top of your foot. So instead of facing forward, you're going to rotate slightly. And then from here, go ahead and take both ends of the strap into one hand, and you're just going to slowly start to pull the chest towards the top of the foot. And here, see if you can keep that right knee, that right shin down on the floor. Don't let it lift up. So only go as far as you like. And here, I'm going to take the strap into my right hand. I'm going to press my left palm down into the mat just so I get a little bit more of a twist through my spine. I'm going to take a couple deep breaths here. Just giving a little bit of pressure on that strap. Maybe giving a little bit of a tug so that my heart comes a little bit more forward, a little bit more towards that knee. And it really doesn't matter how deep you go in this. We're just looking to get a little bit of twisting across the belly and a little bit of stretch into the hamstrings. And then on your exhale, go ahead and release. You can unhook that strap and go ahead and place that strap off to the right side. And just for a moment, come back into that cross-legged seated position, this time with the left shin in front. And see if you can find that nice long tall spine. So maybe just wiggle back and forth, like you're trying to sort of shift your ribs left to right. Just kind of doing a little wiggle here. Taking a deep breath. And then we're going to go ahead and take that right foot, plant it on the mat so that the right knee comes towards the sky. If you'd like, see if you can get that left shin to parallel with the side of your mat, or take it in a little bit closer, just depending upon how your hips and your knees are feeling. And then if you'd like, you can take both hands to your knees and just start to rock. So you're just doing little half moon rocks. And once again here, you can choose to flex and extend and have a little fluidity in your spine, or you can choose to kind of keep that natural curve, and you can use the muscles in your arms to just rock back and forth. And as you rock, make sure that you're gazing all the way from one shoulder to the other. You can turn your head, look up towards the ceiling, look up towards the walls, just see what's around you. If you're working out outside, if you're practicing under the sky, maybe just notice the trees, notice the sound around you. Notice the breeze on your skin. Then just compressing and opening up the belly, kind of allowing a little bit of twisting here. And then from here, go ahead and come back to center. And we're going to extend that right leg out long. And take that strap, wrap it around the ball of your toes on your right foot. And then from here, instead of facing center, so heart will turn towards the top of the right foot. And then once you have that sort of twist in the upper body, you're just going to gently give a little pressure on that strap and start to pull the heart towards the top of that foot. And here I'm going to take the strap into my left hand and place my right hand on the floor on the outside of my right knee and put a little pressure into that hand so that my heart can twist a little bit more. And for me, I'm not going super deep. I'm just looking for a little bit of sensation into the back of the hamstring and into the low back. Take a couple of breaths. Notice what your breathing is doing. Just take a moment to settle in. And then go ahead and unhook that strap. Slowly bring your chest back up through center. And then just recross your legs. You can choose to take whichever shin in front that feels comfortable. And once again, find that nice long spine. And here, just shift the ribs back and forth. So as if you're trying to just simply shift, like you're a belly dancer, shift that middle rib part back and forth. And you'll feel a little bit of a stretch onto the outer hips. You'll feel a little extension to the low back. My low back has been bothering me a little bit, like I said, because I've been sitting so much, so this actually feels pretty good. And then from here, go ahead and push that strap off to the left or right. We're gonna come around onto all fours. If you'd like, use that blanket that's underneath your rear end to pad your knees. I'm gonna go ahead and do that just because my knees are feeling sensitive today. So come down onto your knees, and we're gonna go ahead and come down to your elbows. So elbows come under shoulders, hands can come together, or you can place palms on the mat. I tend to like hands together. It just takes a little bit of the pressure out of my shoulders. And from here, go ahead and see if you can take your knees slightly wider than your hips and your big toes to touch. And all we're gonna do is just draw the chest forward towards the palms and then press the chest back. Almost like you're kind of coming into a child's pose and then moving forward. So we're just kind of flossing the low back here, engaging the shoulders, using a little bit of musculature across the upper back, across the chest, and just slowly, gently warming the body up. So I was super proud of myself this morning. I got up early. The dog actually woke me up, but I was up around 6 and got on the bike and rode for about an hour, which was fantastic. And now doing a little bit of yoga after the fact is quite nice. It's actually a really nice treat. I often have to remind myself that like getting up and doing some form of activity feels really good, even if I'm not a morning person and I hate every minute of getting up. So just gently glide your heart, like you're moving your heart from the center of the mat all the way towards the top of the mat, towards your hands. And you'll notice the load change on your shoulders and on your hands. And if you'd like to make this a little bit more dynamic, see if you can draw your belly button towards your spine and engage the core the whole way. This kind of rocking movement, this sort of primal movement, if you will, is really kind of nice for our nervous systems. You'll notice maybe your breath starts to slow, maybe you want to swallow, maybe you want to yawn. Those are all signs of downregulating your nervous system. And even though we're practicing online, we're co-regulating our nervous system. So we're working together to change the way our nervous systems are reacting to the stimuli around us. We'll do 2 more of those, just rocking back and forth. And then once you've done that second one, go ahead and keep those elbows planted on the mat. And all I'm going to have you do is just walk your knees back so that you come down onto your blanket or onto the mat so that your hips come to rest on that blanket. And you're coming into just a little Sphinx pose. So let your belly hang low, let your chest lift, and maybe press your palms down into the mat, draw your elbows towards your rib cage, and pull your heart slightly through. Maybe your gaze lifts. Take a deep breath. Feel the expansion of your belly and your ribs. And feel your body settle down onto the support of the blanket underneath your hips. Take a couple more breaths. Just letting everything kind of settle in. I'm really liking the slow, sort of thoughtful movement today, so we're going to stick with that. And then from here, you're just going to come down onto your belly a little bit further, so maybe let your elbows come out wide. And grab your strap so that it's close by. You can put it at the top of your mat. And first things first, go ahead and let your chest come down all the way to the mat. Maybe stack your hands. Let your forehead rest. Take a couple of breaths in crocodile just for a moment. Just, again, connecting to the floor, connecting to the earth. Noticing what that feels like. And then from here, go ahead and take your feet wide so that they come to the corners of your mat. Toes pressed down. So see if you can get all of your toes to connect to the floor. All of your toenails there. And then from here, press down into the top of your right foot. And on your next inhale, go ahead and just lift the left foot off the mat. So you can go high or low, and you're just going to hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then release. Go ahead and switch sides. Press down at the top of your left foot. And this time you're just going to lift your right leg. See if maybe you can get the front of that right thigh to lift. And you're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release. We're going to go back to the left side and inhale. Press down into the right toes. Lift that left leg. And here we're just going to pulse. So lift for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then lower. Switch to the opposite side. Press down to the top of the left toes. Lift the right leg. And pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to do that one more time on each side. You can go at your speed.
Just make sure that you're keeping your balance. Make sure that you're pressing down into the top of the opposite foot as you lift and lower, say, the left leg. And now I'm on the right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release. Come back to center. Let that forehead back on top of those hands. Take a deep breath. Let the chest sink towards the mat. Notice the back body starting to light up. Notice the warmth there. We're going to add on to that. So keeping your right hand underneath your forehead, you can make a fist, and then you're going to reach your left arm out long. Place the palm on the ground. From here, press down into the left toes. And on your next inhale, you're going to pick up your left hand and your right foot, and you're just going to pulse. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release. And then we're going to switch sides. So bend your left elbow, make that fist planted underneath your forehead, reach that right arm out long, press down into the right toes, and then on your next inhale, you're going to lift both the right hand and the left leg and pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release. Go ahead and switch. We'll do that one more time on each side, and you can go at your pace. So if you'd like to inhale and exhale, a little inhale and exhale as you lift and lower, that's totally cool. And then go ahead and switch. Right arm out long, left foot lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and come back to center. Stack those hands. Take a deep exhale, deep inhale. Just let the body settle. And then from here, just come up to your elbows for a second. Reach out and grab for your strap. Now, when you take that strap, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and take it slightly wider than your shoulders. So whatever distance your shoulders is, take it about an inch outside your shoulders. So if you reach your arms out long in front of you on your belly, your hands will be wider than your shoulders. And then from here, you're going to press the forehead down into the mat. And on your next inhale, what I'd like you to do is lift both hands off the floor and then bend the elbows and see if you can draw that strap down behind your neck and then reach back up. So almost like you're doing a pull-up, but letting the bar come behind your shoulders. So exhale to extend. Inhale to draw that strap down and tap the tops of the shoulders. Extend. Tap the shoulders. Extend. Tap the shoulders. Last time. Extend. And tap the shoulders. And then go ahead, extend and release. Here, stack your hands once again. Take a deep breath, maybe waggle the tail if your low back is kind of talking to you at this point. It may be. We're going to do that one more time. And if you'd like, you can just watch. We're going to add on the legs. So the way that we're going to do this is we're actually going to lift both legs and press down through the pelvis at the same time that we're taking that strap and drawing it back towards the shoulders. So I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to take the strap into both my hands, wider than my shoulders. So when I lift the strap off the mat and slide it back behind my head, I have enough space in my shoulder girdle to get it down. So from here, I'm going to press my forehead into the mat, and I'm trying not to take any kind of extensive tension into the back of my neck. I'm not really like pushing my forehead into the mat. I'm just kind of using it as a stabilization. And then from here, you're going to lift the legs. So both legs lift up, and then you're going to lift the hands. And on your exhale, you're going to draw that strap down towards your shoulders and then extend. And if you'd like, you'll see I have my head lifted off the mat. You can go ahead and try this too if you like. If you feel better with your head down on the mat, feel free to keep it there. We're just going to do 5 of these. I've got 2 more. And then go ahead, release, stack everything back down on the mat. Take your hands under your forehead. Take a deep exhale. And then from here, just rotate your elbows back underneath your shoulders. Palms can come together or palms can face down. And here, just start to rock the chest left and right. So kind of the opposite of waggling the tail, you're just kind of drawing a small arc right in between the chest, right in between those elbows. Take a couple breaths. And then from here, go ahead and take your hands underneath your shoulders, tuck your toes, lift your hips, press up and back. See if you can find your very first downward facing dog. Now, it may feel kind of weird. It may feel a little stiff. That's totally okay. What I'd like you to do is go ahead and pedal your feet. So bending the knees one at a time. You're just looking to get a little bit of stretch into the back of the hamstrings, the outer hips. And if you'd like, just start to let those hips kind of dip left to right. Almost like you're trying to like twist through the core. And then go ahead and come back down to your knees on that blanket and sit your hips back towards your heels. We're going to do a little feet work. So go ahead and come forward onto your hands and tuck your toes. So big toe comes down to touch, and just make sure that your knees are under your hips and your feet are in line with your knees. So from here, just go ahead and walk your hand back towards your knees. And if you need to, if you only want to come to here, you're flexing through the soles of the feet. And you'll feel a stretch across the whole entire bottom of your feet. But if this is enough, keep them here. If you'd like to go a little further, you can start to bring your torso up towards straight. Take a couple of breaths. Let those feet kind of open up. And then exhale and come forward. Untuck those toes and sit the tops of your feet back down on the mat. And then you can sit back and just do a little counterbalance here. Take a couple of breaths. And then from here, we're going to come up to a tall kneeling position. So stack your hips over your knees and take your hands to your hips. We're going to step the left foot forward, just right in line with the left hip. Toes face forward. See if you look down, make sure that your right knee is relatively in line with your right hip. And if you'd like, if you feel like this is too narrow of a stance, you can always widen out that left foot so that you have a little bit more of a stable base. I'm going to keep mine more towards the middle of the mat. So from here, what I'd like you to do is walk that left foot slightly forward so that it's in front of the knee by about 6 inches. Then you're going to just sink the hip forward and then press back. Just keeping your hands on your hips for right now. Just kind of opening up the hips. If this bothers your knee, you can always make the movement just smaller. So here we're just kind of doing a supported lunge, if you will. Just moving forward and back. You'll feel a little bit of a stretch into the front of the left hip flexor. And then from here, we're going to add on some arms. So come back to a stable place, keeping that left foot slightly in front of the left knee. And then as you come forward, what I'd like you to do is turn the palms towards the front of your mat. And on your inhale, sweep the palms up and overhead, lift the heart, palms face back towards the back of the mat, and then exhale like you're pressing the air back down towards your hips. So inhale to scoop and lift. Exhale to press down. Inhale to scoop and lift. Exhale to press down. Inhale to scoop and lift. Exhale to press down. Inhale to scoop and lift. Exhale to press down. Go ahead and walk that left heel slightly in. And from here, take your left hand to your left ribs. Take your right elbow to your left knee, like you're serving a platter here on that right hand. And then from here, just start to bend and straighten, just very slightly, that front knee. So you're just kind of moving back and forth, allowing the body to kind of work through a little bit of stickiness in the hips. And maybe here, start to lift your chest and gaze over your left shoulder. Take a couple breaths. And then exhale, unwind. And
Frame that front foot and just step it back so that your left knee comes to meet your right. Palms come underneath your shoulders. Knees can reset back underneath your hips. And then from here, go ahead, walk your fingertips back towards your knees. Come back up into that tall kneeling position. You're going to step the right foot forward now. So place that right foot on the floor in front of you, toes faced forward, and then just walk it out about 6 inches so that the foot, the heel, is just slightly in front of your right knee. From here, you're going to revisit that bend and extend. So I'm pressing down through the sole of my right foot. I'm also pressing down through the front of my left shin. This helps keep stabilization. This helps keep my heart lifted. I'm not trying to, collapse over my right knee. I'm just kind of doing a little bit of this activation, both active and passive here. So the passive part is allowing the front of the left hip to stretch. The active part is pressing down into the mat with the right foot. Take a deep breath as you move. And just notice. And then from here, come back to center. Keep that right foot where it is. Turn your palms towards the front of your mat and shine the light of your palms towards the front. And then on your inhale, you're going to sweep your arms up so the palms face back towards the back of the mat. Bend the front knee a little bit deeper. Let that left hip sink. And then press that hands back down. So like you're scooping the air up and then pressing that energy back down. Inhaling to scoop. Exhale to press back. Inhale to scoop. Exhale to press back. Inhale to scoop. Exhale to press back. See if you can make sure that your right knee is tracking right in line with your right heel. So make sure it's not wobbling out of center. We'll do 2 more. Inhaling to lift. Exhale to down. Last one, inhale to lift. Exhale to press down. Then go ahead, take that left elbow to that right knee like you're serving a platter. If you'd like, you can take your hand to the back of your pelvis, your right hand to the back of your pelvis. And then from here, you're just gonna press a little bit forward and a little bit back, and maybe gaze back over your right shoulder. We're just taking a little bit of rocking here. Whoop. And if you wobble or fall over, it's totally okay. It's a little hard because I'm like staring at a white wall, so I have no drishti, no point to sort of focus on. And then go ahead and come back to center. Frame that front foot. Step that right knee back in line with the left. And go ahead and sit your hips back towards your heels. Take your knees wide. Take your toes to touch. If you'd like, go ahead and cradle your chin. So set your chin into your palms. Let your belly hang low. Maybe wag the tail a little bit. Take a little compression into the knees, to the belly. Just kind of notice what feels good. And then from here, go ahead and plant your hands, come back to all fours, and tuck your toes, lift your hips, press up and back. Downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet. Once again, we're not looking for perfect poses. We're just kind of looking for some movement. Really plant your hands down into the mat and feel the movement of your feet as you drop each heel individually. And then once you've pedaled out your feet enough, go ahead and separate your feet so that they're about hips width distance and see if you can settle into your downward facing dog. Maybe close your eyes. Maybe see if you can lift the pelvis slightly so that it's going up and back. And let the head hang heavy between the shoulders. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And then from here, bend your knees, look between your hands, and just take a walk up to the top of your mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Maybe your hands come to your shins or to your knees. Exhale to fold. Inhale to sweep the arms up and overhead. And exhale, hands come down to heart center. Inhale to sweep your arms up, maybe look up. Exhale to fold. Inhale to halfway lift. I'm going to take my hands to my shins and actually press actively into the fronts of my shins so that I can get a little length into the back. Take a couple breaths. Really allowing that length to come into the upper body. Seeing if I can drop my shoulders away from my ears so that I'm not like hunched up into my ears. I'm not trying to take that tension into my shoulders. I'm trying to extend the low back. And then exhale, fingertips come down to the mat. Step that right foot back. And we're just gonna come up into a high lunge. So hands can come to the hips. You may recognize this from earlier. And all you're gonna do here is just bend a little deeper into the front knee and then straighten. And if you need to widen your stance, feel free to do so. So just taking a little bit of that same movement that we were doing on the kneeling position into a standing position. And we're going to add the arms on. So on your inhale, palms face forward. Come back to extending both legs so both legs are relatively straight. And then inhale and take the arms up overhead, bend deeply into that front knee. Exhale, press the energy down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, press down. Inhale to reach up. Exhale to press down. 2 more. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, press down. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, press down. And then inhale, reach up. Palms can face one another. Take your hands down to heart center. And then take that right elbow to that left knee. Now, once again, really reaching through the back of that leg. Maybe take the hand to your pelvis. Lift the heart. Take a couple breaths. And then exhale. And you're going to spin down, frame that front foot, and step back. Downward facing dog. Once again, pedal out the feet. Knees, hips, kind of shimmy. Take a little bit of a deep breath. Maybe close your eyes. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and step your feet to hips width distance. Press down actively into your palms. Press down actively into your feet. See if you can find a moment of stillness. Maybe close your eyes. Let your head hang heavy between your shoulders. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and bend your knees. Look between your hands and take a walk up to the top of your mat. Inhale to halfway lift, extend. I'm taking my hands to my shins once again. So I'm really liking this. I'm really liking sort of the stretch I get into my low back. See if maybe you can lift the back of your head up and away from the floor. Activate that back line like we did earlier in class. And then exhale and fold. Inhale to sweep up. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Inhale to sweep your arms up. Exhale to fold. Inhale back to halfway lift. Take your hands to your shins or to your thighs, whatever feels good. And actively press your arms down into your shins or thighs. See if you can really extend the length of your back body. And once again, take a little bit of a lift in the back of the brain, essentially. Back of the skull. So almost like you're trying to do a chin tuck. Take a couple breaths. Notice how your breath can go a little deeper down into the pelvis. Similar to what we were doing at the beginning of class when we first sat down to practice. And then exhale, fold. Fingertips come down. This time we're going to step the left foot back. And then press down with both feet, come up into that high lunge. Now, once again, familiar place. We're gonna just bend and straighten that front knee. So again, just taking a little bit of passive and active motion here. Breathing as you like. There's no wrong way to breathe. That would be kind of silly. We'll do 2 more of those, and then we'll add the arms on. So I don't know about you, but my legs are getting tired. So we're gonna start to kind of wind things down. But come back to where both legs are relatively straight. You can turn the palms of your hands towards the front of your mat. Open your heart, open your chest. So squeeze the shoulder blades together at the back body. And then inhale, sweep the arms up, bend the front knee, reach towards the sky. And exhale, press that energy back down, straighten the front knee. Inhale to sweep up. Exhale to press down. Inhale to sweep up. Exhale to press down. 2 more. Inhale to sweep up. Exhale to press down. Last one. Inhale to sweep up. Exhale to press down. And then go ahead, take your hands back to your hips, take a bend into that front knee, and you're just gonna take your left elbow to that right thigh. Take your right hand to your sacrum and see if you can just start to twist through the body. Take a couple breaths, find some stabilization. And then exhale, frame that front foot, step back, downward facing dog once again. Pedal out those feet. Take a couple of breaths. Just let the body settle. Notice how you feel. From here, go ahead, bend both knees, look between your hands, and take a walk up to the top of your mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Find that pressure on the shins. Lift to the back of the skull. Exhale to fold. Inhale to sweep up. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Inhale to sweep up. Exhale to fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Once again, finding that extension, finding that length. I'm really liking this today. And then exhale, hands come down, step back, downward facing dog. Take a moment in downward facing dog, and you'll notice I'm keeping my blanket where it is. I'm actually going to reach down and move that blanket slightly closer to my hands because we're going to come down into a pigeon and I want a little support. So from here, go ahead and take your right foot towards the sky. On your exhale, draw that right knee towards your right wrist and start to rotate that right ankle towards your left ankle. From here, go ahead and start to sit the hips down. Untuck the toes and just start to settle into that pigeon. Now, if you need to sort of roll up that blanket and give yourself a little support, if that right hip is floating off the mat, feel free to do it. From here, come up onto your fingertips and lift your chest. Take a couple of breaths here. You can either point or flex that right foot. Depends on how you're feeling, depends on what you need. If you'd like, you can continue to walk those fingertips back towards the knee, or if that's too much on your low back, you can always come on down to your elbows. Let your heart fall towards your knee. And here, if you want something a little deeper, you can start to walk that left shin more towards parallel with the front of your mat, or if that's too much, keep that left shin drawn more towards your body. So bend your knee more deeply. I'm going to find someplace in between. And then see if right now, if you look at your screen, you'll tell that my pelvis is rotated off to the right. I'm leaning towards my right hip. What I'm going to try to do is actually draw my pelvis more centrally so that I'm more balanced, that I'm more in the middle. I'm not so much just resting on that outer right hip. It changes the sensation, that changes the way that your body weight is being distributed onto your thigh. But just play with sort of where your hips are If you want, you can kind of do a little rock back and forth to just see what feels good. Take a couple of breaths. And then from here, what I'd like you to do is take your left hand and just rotate it so that you can grab the outside of your right knee. Take your right hand off to the side, off to the right side of your mat. And here, press down into your right hand and pull back with that left. So you're twisting your chest over towards the right. And if you'd like, maybe take that gaze over your right shoulder. So adding in a little twist to this pigeon. And I can't take credit for this addition. This is actually something I learned in my 300-hour training with Jason Crandall, and I really liked it. Take a moment, come back to center. Go ahead and come back to your elbows. Take a couple of deep breaths, maybe wag the tail. And then go ahead and take your hands back to the mat. Tuck your back toes. Lift your back knee, press up and back, downward facing dog. And it doesn't have to be graceful. If you need to stop in all fours, please feel free to do so. Pedal out your knees. If at any time you feel like you need to take that right leg back up and then maybe bend the knee and open up that hip towards the right side of the mat, gazing underneath that right armpit, feel free to do that. Just a little counterbalance. And then exhale, come back to your downward dog. And on your next inhale, go ahead and press that left foot towards the sky. And then slowly shift your shoulders forward, draw that left knee towards the left wrist and that left ankle towards the right wrist. And then settle your hips down. Untuck your back toes. And just for a moment, stay with your chest lifted. If you'd like to come up onto fingertips, feel free to do so. If you'd like to walk your fingertips more back. If that left hip is floating up off the mat and you need to ball up that blanket, do it. Bring that ground closer to your body. Take a couple of nice, deep, full body inhales and exhales. If you'd like to continue to walk your hands back towards your shin, lift your heart, you can. But if that's not feeling good today, let's go ahead and come back down onto the elbows. And here, once again, you can, if you want to feel a deeper stretch into the outer hip, you can start to walk that left shin a little bit more forward. You can see me kind of scooching it so that it's more parallel to the top of your mat. If that's too much, walk that heel back in towards your groin so that the bend in your left knee is a little bit deeper. Take a couple of deep breaths here. And if you notice, I am still kind of rocking onto that outer left hip. I'm going to make some adjustments so that I can get a little bit more centered. So I can walk my chest more to the inside of my knee. And take a couple breaths. I'm pressing my palms together just because it feels good. You can do whatever you like with your hands. Take a couple of breaths. And then from here, go ahead and take that right hand and you're going to just rotate on that elbow so that you can grab a hold of your left knee. Take that left hand, plant it on the outside of your left knee, and you're going to pull back with that right hand. Press the left knee into your right hand and then twist to the chest. See if you can find length. So it's a very sort of subtle but isometric kind of move. Again, can't take credit for this. This was all Jason Crandall. Teaching yoga is all about borrowing from the great people and acknowledging how you got there. And then exhale and come back to center. You can come back down to your elbows just for a moment. Take a deep breath. And then from here, take your hands back down to the mat. Walk them back in towards your body. Tuck your back toes, press down, lift up, find your downward facing dog. And again, if you feel like you need to uncompress that left hip,
You can always lift that left leg, bend the right foot towards the right butt cheek, and then just kind of drop the heel towards the right side of your mat. So opening up and gazing underneath that left armpit. And then exhale, go ahead and come back down, come back to center. And drop down to your knees. And then just for a moment, sit back into a nice, easy child's pose. I'm going to actually come down onto my elbows and separate my knees, let my big toes touch. And I'm just going to do a little bit of a left to right rock. So I'm feeling a little bit of like tension in the fronts of my hips after that pigeon. Sometimes that happens. Finding a little counterbalance helps. The other thing about practicing yoga is that if after any pose your body's like, oh, I really need something else, like go with that. If you're like, this feels good in my body and you know what I'm showing you doesn't work for you, do your thing. There's no right way to practice yoga. It is your practice. And the best part about learning it this way or teaching it this way is that you can truly make it your own. And then from here, go ahead and press your heart back up. Come back up to a kneeling just for a second and let your hips sit on top of your heels. And if you'd like, you can just rock the shins left to right. So I'm kind of letting the heels kind of dig into like piriformis and low hips. Those big muscles that do all the work for us all day long. And then go ahead and if your blanket is still on your mat, just slide it off to the left or the right. And we're going to come down onto our back. So go ahead and turn around and come down onto your back however you would like. I'm going to just rock down along my spine. Take your knees into your chest. And then maybe just rock back and forth. So allowing gravity to kind of give your low back a nice little massage. Letting things kind of settle out. If you'd like to separate your knees and start to draw maybe circles on the ceiling in opposite directions or in the same direction. And just kind of allowing gravity to take hold. And then from here, go ahead and set those feet back down on the mat, knees point towards the sky. Walk your feet wide, let your knees knock in to touch. Take your hands to your belly, let your shoulder blades drop towards the mat. Take a couple breaths. And then from here, go ahead and take both arms up over your head, let them come down to the mat. And you're going to bend your elbows and reach for opposite elbows here. And just see if you can slide those shoulder blades down your back while lifting the forearms away from the crown of your head. So really getting long into the side body. Taking a couple breaths here. And then walk your feet slightly back in towards the middle of the mat, but keep them wider than your hips. And you're just going to drop your knees over to the right side, keeping those arms the way they are. Let that left knee drop towards the mat. Let the right outer knee drop towards the floor. If you'd like, go ahead and release the grip on your forearms. Reach both arms up overhead. Take your left wrist into your right hand and just start to pull it over towards the right side of your mat. So opening up through the rib cage, the outer hip. And then go ahead and exhale, come back through center. And whichever grip you had first, go ahead and switch the grip. So I'm going to put my right arm on top. I'm going to see if I can scooch my shoulder blades down while reaching my forearms up towards the top of the mat. Really taking a stretch into the rib cage. You can hear my voice change a little bit just because I am actively engaging the muscles of my rib cage and my back and my belly to find a little bit of a stretch.
And I'm letting my knees knock together at the center of my mat. And then from here, go ahead and drop that left knee off to the left side, right knee comes towards the midline, coming into that sort of partial windshield wiper move. Breathe into that right lung. And then if you'd like to add on, go ahead and release the grip of your forearms, reach both arms up, take your right wrist into your left hand and reach and pull over towards the left side of your mat. Take a nice deep breath. And then exhale and come back to center. Release the grip of your hands. Draw your knees back towards the ceiling. Take your hands back down towards your belly. And once again, just draw your knees in towards your chest and give yourself a little rock. So once you've taken a little bit of a rock here, go ahead and plant your feet back on the mat. Optionally, if you'd like to take a little bit more of a hip stretch, you can go ahead and plant that left foot on the mat, pick up your right, thread it underneath the left leg and drop that right knee down. Or if you've had enough, you can go ahead and get yourself set up for Shavasana. I'm going to hang out in this pose just for a minute and then switch sides, and we'll start to move into Shavasana. So I'm reaching down with my left hand for that right foot, and I'm just letting that right knee drop out towards the side. And go ahead and release, if you have that pose, release the right foot, plant that right foot back on the mat next to the left. Go ahead and pick up your left foot, thread it between the back of your right heel and your butt cheek on the right side. Let that left knee drop down. Now, this is plenty. If this is all you feel like doing today, cool. If you want to add on, you can reach down with that right hand, find your big toe, and maybe just give it a little tug. Just once again, opening up those deep psoas muscles, those stress and rest muscles, those muscles that run from the base of your spinal cord, well, from the entire spine, all the way down to your pelvis. Those deep erector muscles. Take a couple of deep breaths. And then go ahead and release. Take that left foot back out, plant it next to the right. And just for a moment, maybe do a little rock here, left to right. And once you've done that little rock here, go ahead and plant the balls of your feet. And we're just gonna let the pressure of the balls of our feet just rock our body up and down our mat. So you can go slow, you can go fast, maybe your head nods. You're just kind of shaking it out. This is a really good technique if you're feeling overly stimulated, overly stressed. This rocking movement can just bring you back to yourself, bring you back to momentary calm. And you'll notice as you do it, you may want to take a deep breath. You may want to yawn. You may want to swallow. Those are all signs that your nervous system is resetting. This is a really simple move to do. It takes no time whatsoever to just go into your own space and lie on the floor or lie in your bed and do this if you're feeling overwhelmed this holiday season or any time really. And then go ahead and come back to center and just notice what the effects of that rocking are. You may feel a tingling, you may feel a buzzing. And then if it's cool in your room, go ahead and reach over, grab your blanket and use it just to cover yourself however you'd like. If you'd like to cover your whole body, if you'd like to just cover your pelvis, kind of give you a little bit of grounding sensation, or if you'd like to use that blanket underneath your head to just kind of give yourself a nice little pillow. And then go ahead and stretch both legs out long. And we're gonna do one final little trick that I'd love for you guys to use over the holiday season. If you start to feel like you're overstimulated or you need a break or you just need to reset your nervous system, like you're just going and going, this is a great technique to use if you can't sleep at night too.
Go ahead and take your hands behind your head. Let your elbows drop out wide. And this is a technique I learned from my teacher, Jen Wooten. And open your eyes and just take a look at the ceiling or the sky or whatever's directly above you. Now, without moving your head, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and draw your gaze over to the right side, as far over in your eye sockets as you can go. And you're just going to keep your eyes looking off to the right side without turning your head for about 30 seconds. And you're going to notice maybe when you start to sigh deeply, maybe when you feel the urge to swallow. I've already had the urge to swallow. Maybe when you start to feel the urge to yawn. And just a few more seconds here. This is a fantastic way to stop any kind of ruminating thoughts you might have late at night. And then go ahead and draw your gaze back to center without moving your head. And then we're going to go over to the right. So keeping your eyes at center for about 30 seconds, just letting your gaze take in the light, any of the stuff floating around your room. I've got apparently cat hair, the joy of having animals. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and gaze over to the left. And you'll notice right there, I just took a big, natural, deep sigh. It's just my nervous system going, oh, okay, we're cool. We're safe. And again, you're looking off to the left, just all the way over in your visual field, keeping your eyes open and just kind of picking a point maybe in the room to look at, maybe looking around a little bit. Make sure you're keeping your eyes gazing off to the left without moving your head. So there's a bunch of science behind why this works, to sort of help you reset your nervous system and just settle and calm. I won't bore you with the details because I know sometimes they get a little bit sciencey and that's not super exciting for a lot of people, but I love it. I think it's really interesting. I think our bodies are fascinating. And just there, I started a deep sigh. We'll hold this for a few more seconds. And then come back to center, just keeping your gaze at the ceiling. Maybe following that urge to yawn or stretch or sigh. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and take your hands out from under your head, place them on your body however you like or next to your body, whatever feels good. Find your Shavasana. So I'm going to place my hands, one right below my heart, one on my belly. Let my elbows rest on the mat. My legs roll out, just feeling the support of the ground underneath my skin. And we're going to begin in the same way, we're going to end in the same way that we began, which is by noticing the connection between our legs and the floor. So noticing where your heels touch, where your calves touch, where the backs of your thighs meet the earth, where your rear end and your pelvis settle down into the ground. And as you notice these things, imagine the front body sinking a little bit deeper into the back body. Feel the weight of the bones settling down. Notice where the backs of your ribs touch the mat. Feel the weight of the fronts of the ribs sinking down into the back body. Notice the softness of your belly breath, the softness of the space between your pelvic bones.
Feel that place where the back of your shoulders meet the mat. Feel the wings of your scapula just drop and settle. And feel the front of your heart space move backwards in space towards the ground. Notice your arms where they connect to the floor. Notice the back of your head. Allow the back of your head, your brain, your eyes, your skull to settle back. Be held and supported, connected and grounded in this moment. See if you can separate your teeth and release any kind of tension you may be holding in your jaw. And soften and release the back of your tongue. See if you can soften the corners of your eyes. And finally, draw your awareness to that space between the brow, that third eye, if you will, that innate knowingness. Know that you can always return to this state, to this place at any time. You can revisit this class. You can use any of the techniques that I've used in today's class to just reconnect in a hectic season. It doesn't have to be the holidays. It can just be any time, any day. And then slowly you can begin to deepen your breath. And just gently invite waves of movement back into your fingers, your toes, moving up into the wrists and ankles. And then when you're ready, take a nice, long, good morning stretch. Reaching your hands towards the top of your mat, the feet towards the bottom. And then on your exhale, go ahead and bend your knees and roll over to whichever side feels best in your body today. If you'd like to bend your elbow and support your head, feel free. Take a moment here, just letting the orientation to gravity change, letting the sensations in your body change. And then on your exhale, slowly roll your shoulders more towards the earth and press down to sit up. And find whatever easy seat you'd like to take. If you'd like to keep your legs covered with your blanket, feel free to do so. I'm going to stack my palms in my lap. And if you'd like to just tug the flesh out from underneath your pelvis, go ahead and do so that you have a nice connection to the earth. And once you've done that, see if you can find that same lift that we talked about at the beginning of class. Imagining just a bit of a tug from the back of the soft palate all the way down through your spine. Take a couple breaths here. And then when you're ready, take your hands to heart center, press your palms against one another, and gently rest your thumbs against your sternum. Bow your head to your heart. May you find moments of peace, happiness, and health in this holiday season. All of the love and light in me bows to and honors all of the love and light in each one of you. Namaste.